Janakana Jasomati Nandana Brajabaranakara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Paranadhana Madhana Manohara Gopi Paranadhana Madhana Manohara Kalyadamana Vidhana Kalyadamana Vidhana Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa Vipina Purandharana Vinanagapara Vipina Purandharana Vinanagarabhara Vamsi Vadhana Suvasa Vamsi Vadhana Suvasa Prajajanapalana Surakulanashana Prajajanapalana Surakulanashana Nanda Godhana Rakohala Nanda Godhana Rakohala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasanahara Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasanahara Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Shri Radha Balava Vrindavana Natabara Shri Radha Balava Vrindavana Natabara Bhakti Vinodashraya Bhakti Vinodashraya Amala Harinam Hamya Vilasa Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natabara Bhakti Vinodashraya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text number 2. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyamagata sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyatanti cha. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadarmyamagataha sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyatanti cha. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadarmyamagataha sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyatanti cha. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadarmyamagataha sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyatanti cha. Sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyatanti cha. Idam, this, jnanam, knowledge, upashritya, taking shelter of, mama, my, sadarmyam, same nature, agata, having attained, sarge api, even in the creation, na, never, upajayante, are born, pralaye, in the annihilation, na, nor, vyatanti, are disturbed, cha, also. Translation: by becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So, even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in that transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless, without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Nitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kaupatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasati Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadhi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasade Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Lord Krishna is continuing to explain to Arjuna the benefit of hearing about the modes of material nature and learning how to transcend the modes of nature, learning how to come to the liberated platform. So Lord Krishna describes in this verse how just simply by this knowledge we can attain a transcendental nature like Lord Krishna's own transcendental nature. So this should not be misunderstood. We cannot become Krishna. We are always the servant of Lord Krishna. He is the master always, and we are his servants always. That is the real business of transcendental knowledge, to come to that understanding that we are eternally the servant. Ekala Ishwar Krishna or Sab Britya. There is one supreme master or lord over everything, and all others are his servants. So we are the servants, but still we can have the transcendental nature like the Lord. Means similar in quality, but not in quantity. That example is given in many times, how we are one in quality, but not in quantity. Just like the speck of gold, or one particle of gold, is not equal to the gold mine, but the gold has the same qualities as the gold in the gold mine. Or one drop of water is not equal to the ocean, but it has the same qualities as the ocean. So in the same way, all living entities, we can come to the transcendental nature like the Lord. Prabhupada then explains how some people think that we will give up our individuality and merge into the oneness. But Prabhupada does not accept that theory. He said this is not correct. We don't merge, we're eternally individuals. And Lord Krishna began, in the very beginning of his instructions to Arjuna, he said to Arjuna, never was there a time when I did not exist, and nor you, nor all of these kings, nor in the future will any of us ever cease to be. So Lord Krishna said, I, you, and all these kings, in other words, everyone is eternally an individual. We existed in the past, we're existing now, and we will exist in the future as individuals. We have our individuality. However, that should not be misunderstood. It's not that we're this body. It's not that now because you have a woman's body that you're always a woman, or because you have a man's body you're always a male. No, that the body is just a dress. And we have taken many different bodies, many different births, in different species of life, in different places, all over the creation. Sometimes we have been birds flying in the sky, sometimes we've been demigods residing in heaven, and sometimes we've been living in hell. We've been in many different conditions of life. Lord Krishna explained that to Arjuna in the 4th chapter. Lord Krishna had told Arjuna the history of the Bhagavad Gita. Imam vivishvate yogam proktavam aham avyayam. Lord Krishna was describing the history of the Bhagavad Gita. He said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivishwan. And Vivishwan gave this knowledge to Manu, the father of mankind. Then Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. So Arjuna was hearing this, and Arjuna was taken aback. He thought, what? How could you give the knowledge to the sun god? Oh, Krishna, you and I are the same age. How could you ever give the knowledge to the sun god? He's so much senior to you. This was Arjuna's illusion. Of course, Lord Krishna corrected him and told Arjuna, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, many, many births both you and I have had, O Arjuna. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. So this is the difference between us and Krishna. We don't remember our previous births, but we have had many, many different births in different places, in different species of life. And when we hear about how we have an eternal individuality, that eternal individuality is referring to the soul. That by nature we're all spirit souls. So the spirit soul is eternal. The spirit soul never takes birth and never dies. Na jayate mriyate vad kadachin nayam buddva bhavitava nabuya ajo nityam shasvato yam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Lord Krishna is describing, for the soul there's never birth nor death, nor having once been does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Now the body may be slain, may die, but the soul never dies. The soul is eternal. The soul is spiritual by nature. We have to understand the distinction between matter and spirit. The body is material. The body is temporary. Right? So, the temporary nature of the material body has to be understood. We have to understand our real identity as spiritual beings. This is a very fundamental principle in self-realization, to know ourselves as a spirit soul, different from the material body. The material body is described to be like a dress. And just as we change the dress, we change also the body. Vachamsi janani yata vihaya navani grinati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Lord Krishna is describing, just like we change the dress. As the clothes wear out, we get a different dress. The same way with the body. As the body gets old and breaks down, one day we give up the body, we will take another body. So death is simply change of body. The person never dies, but he changes the body. So we have to understand the basic principle of self-realization, how we're all spirit souls, and we're living in the temporary material body. Ideally, we want to get out from this wheel of birth and death, the wheel of birth and death which is causing us to take birth and die again and again in different species of life. And in order to get free from the wheel of birth and death, we have to understand this knowledge of the modes of nature. By understanding this knowledge correctly, we will be fixed in devotional service, and we can attain to the spiritual world. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks something about the spiritual world. How there's a realm which is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. And there are many people there. There are many individuals all there in their spiritual bodies, not in material. Here in this world, we're all in material bodies. But in the spiritual world, everyone's in a spiritual body. And they're all engaged in activities of devotion for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. So this is the nature of the spiritual world. The world which is, the spiritual world is full of bliss eternally. But this material world is a miserable place. This material world is called Mrityulok, the place of death. Death is there everywhere. Every home you can go and ask, has anyone died here? Did anyone ever die here? Every home will admit, yes, we've lost someone in the family. It's the nature of the material world. Death is there for everyone. So the material world, it's not a very pleasant place. But we're living here and we're trying to enjoy. We're trying to be happy in a place where we're not really meant to be happy. We are meant to be happy, but we're trying to find the happiness in the wrong place. The happiness is not here in this material world. The real happiness is in the spiritual world, in the association of Lord Krishna and his eternal devotees, his eternal associates. So we are looking for the happiness in the wrong place. It's like trying to find water in the desert. Is there water in the desert? You can look a long time, you'll never find water there. In the same way, we're trying to find happiness, eternal happiness in this temporary world of birth and death. So even though you may live a long life, just like Lord Brahma, he has a long life. In the Bhagavad Gita, the life of Lord Brahma is described how Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmanovidu. 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of the day of Brahma. And the duration of the night is the same. So 1,000 ages means 1,000 times the age. One age is Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali Yuga all together. And there are 1,000 cycles of these 4 ages in one day of Brahma. The one day of Brahma is so, but at the same time, Lord Brahma also has to think about dying, about giving up his body, about leaving the material world, about trying to get out of this world. Even though you have the long life, you should understand it's still temporary. So this is the nature of the material existence. But one who is fixed in the knowledge of the real self, then he is transcendental. He's never disturbed at the time of creation or at the time of dissolution. One who is Krishna conscious, he can tolerate all the difficulties without being disturbed because he is fixed in transcendental knowledge. So this is the power of spiritual knowledge, that we can become transcendental so that we're not disturbed by even the annihilation of the whole universe. And you see examples, personalities who lived through the night of Brahma. In Srimad Bhagavatam, you can read about Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi was a great yogi. He got blessing from Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva's wife Parvati. They thought he's a very great yogi. We want to give him a blessing. They blessed him that he could live through the night of Brahma. But when he lived through the one night of Brahma, it was terrible. It was because what happens during the night of Brahma, there was a great flood at the bottom of the universe. And all the lower planets were all flooded. And Markandeya Rishi had to be in the ocean in that flood. He was in the ocean of devastation. And there were terrible creatures there floating in the sea. They tried to devour him. It was a frightening experience. Markandeya Rishi regretted that he'd been given this benediction. You know, we often think, oh, I want to live a long time. Like Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to live a long time. He didn't want to die. So Markandeya Rishi, he got that benediction to live through one night of Brahma. And it was the most terrifying experience. He was in the flood. He was floating in that ocean of devastation. Nothing to eat, no food. He was very hungry. It was very difficult for him. So he found out that it's not very pleasant to have to live through the night of Brahma. You know, we sometimes think, give someone a blessing, you know, bless them to have a long life. But actually, it's a curse to have a long life. It's all misery from beginning to end. The nature of material existence is just so much suffering. But if we're situated in transcendental knowledge, we will not be disturbed by these difficulties. So that is the solution to the problem, that we have to become situated on the transcendental platform, not to be disturbed by the upheavals of the material world, but to be able to tolerate them and to go on practicing spiritual life. So this is actually the solution to the problem. If we will become situated on the boat of transcendental knowledge, then we can cross over that ocean of material existence. So Lord Krishna is explaining this point to Arjuna, that material world there will always be upheavals in the material world. But if we are Krishna conscious, if we are in knowledge of the modes of nature and how Lord Krishna is controlling the material world through these different modes of nature, then we will not be bewildered by the changes. We will be able to tolerate, because we can simply absorb our mind in meditation on the Supreme Lord. And we can also transfer ourselves back to the spiritual world. If we want to go to the spiritual world, certainly it can happen. You have to have that desire to want to go there to be with the Lord. Of course, not everybody wants to go there. Many of us were attached to this world. I mean, I even think often our own country is very nice. We don't want to leave. People get very attached to their homes. They don't want to leave their home. They give up one body, take birth again in another body to come back in the same home. There was one man, Prabhupada told us about the one man, he was very attached to his family, and he had a big house, and he had sons, and he was very attached to the home. So it happened that he died. So when he died, he took his next birth. He became the cobbler who repairs the shoes for all the people in that home. He was repairing the shoes of people who were his family members. They were his children in the last life. And now he's become the cobbler. And he's sitting outside the door of the house. And he's repairing the shoes. And his sons are coming and beating him. This is the position. In one life you may be the father. The next life the sons are beating you. There's also this story about this one man, Kalesh. Kalesh was a friend of Narada Muni. So Narada Muni came to see him and he said to Kalesh, Kalesh, come with me, let's go. We'll go and give the holy name and travel and preach. And Kalesh said, oh no, I'm sorry. Look, my children are all young. I have to take care of them. I have to wait for my children to grow up. So after some time, Narada Muni came back. The children had grown up. So he said to Kalesh, Kalesh, let's go now. Your children are grown up. Come and travel with me. We'll go and give the holy name. And Kalesh said, oh no, look, my children, they're sleeping every morning. They don't get up. People will cheat them. They'll lose all their property. I have to take care of everything. If I don't stay here, everything will be lost. I can't go with you. So Narada Muni left, and after some time he came back. He came back again. This time he could not find Kalesh, and then he found, oh, there's a dog. And the dog was barking, and the dog was speaking to Narada Muni and said that this was Kalesh. He'd become a dog. And Narada Muni said, oh, you're a dog? You're in the dog body? Now you should give up this body and come with me. But he said, no, he said, I'm the dog. I have to guard the property. Thieves are coming. I have to bark at them and chase them away. I can't come with you. So Narada Muni left. After some time he came back again and he could not find the dog. This time there was a big snake. There was a big snake in the rice fields. And the big snake spoke to Narada Muni. He said, I'm Kalesh. I become the snake. And Narada Muni said, oh, Kalesh, oh, this is terrible. You have to come with me. And Kalesh said, no. He said, I'm guarding the rice. People are coming and stealing the rice. But when I'm here, they won't come. I can scare them away. And so Narada Muni said, oh, you want to keep the snake body, yeah? So he went and he told the sons, there's a big snake out here in your field. And the sons came with big logs and they beat that snake and killed the snake. So this is what happens, you see. You get these situations. We get stuck in the material world. We get so attached. We don't want to leave. We don't want to give up anything. This very dangerous situation. We have to let go of the material energy. We cannot hold on. We should understand the temporary nature of this world. So the human life, it's meant to be divided like that. The system of varnashram is there, that you go through different stages of life. In the beginning, there is student life, then there is family life, and then there is retired life. And that retired life can lead to renounced life. In this way you can plan your life. Different stages of life. Go through the Vedic, by following the Vedic culture. So that way you can learn to cultivate detachment. Because we know we have to leave everything. We come to this world with nothing in our hand, and we leave with nothing in our hand. We cannot take any of the property or any of the assets, but we take our karma with us. We take our stockpile of activities, the results of our work, we take them with us, and they will determine the type of body and the type of situation we will be placed in the next life. So in this way we have to understand the nature of material existence. That it's not very pleasant. It's not really meant for enjoyment. But the real purpose in coming to this world is to get out, to get free of birth and death, not to come back again. So Krishna consciousness is to train us for that purpose, so that at the end of life we will simply think of Krishna and chant the holy name without attachment. And we see so many nice examples in our Krishna conscious literature. Gatvanga Maharaj was a great saintly king. He was fighting against the demons on behalf of the demigods. So after he'd been fighting for some time, Kartikeya came there, and Kartikeya took over from Gatvanga. So the demigods were very pleased with him, and they said to him, "We'll give you whatever benediction you want. What can we give you?" So he said, "Just tell me, how long do I have left in this world?" And they told him, "You have only a moment left in this world." So when Gatvanga Maharaj heard this, he immediately left the heavenly planets and he came down to the earthly planet. And he sat here in meditation and gave up his body. He had prepared himself throughout his life. He was prepared to give up the body. So when he got news that he had only one moment, he didn't panic. He took advantage. He came back to this earthly region because this is the best place to get out of the material existence. If you are in the higher planets, there's so much attachment and attraction. There's so much opportunity for sense gratification there that it's difficult to go to the spiritual world because there's so much luxury there. There's so much enjoyment. One wants to be there. So difficult to go back to Godhead from there. And if you're in the lower region of the universe, it's also difficult because it's so hellish. It's so unpleasant. So this earthly region is in the middle of the universe. And this is the best place to get out of material existence. And even the demigods want to come here to take their birth because they know this is the best place to get out of the wheel of birth and death. Higher planets, difficult. Lower planets, difficult. The earthly region, it's the best place in the universe to get out. Now we have to take advantage of our good fortune to be here in the material world, in the middle of the universe. Not too heavenly, not too hellish. It's the best situation to get out from the material world. All right, are there any questions? Yes, Prabhu?
We hear so much about detachment and renunciation in that sense of this material world and how difficult this material world is and how it's always related to death. But somehow I feel it's only half of the story. I'm sometimes missing how do I get attached to Krishna when we hear only about we have to renounce, we have to be detached from the material world and from our senses and the gratification. But how do we really become deeply attached to Krishna? Because sometimes I see we becoming a little bit sometimes frustrated and hard because we're trying to fight against this tendency of the soul to enjoy and to be, to have attachment.
Yes. Well, you're right. We don't want to just focus only on detachment and the miseries of the material world. That's what the Buddhists do. If you go to Buddhism, you'll see they emphasize a lot about the miseries of material existence. Some temples, they keep a dead body, and the people every day, the monks will just meditate on the dead body, that ultimately we're all going to die, you see? And they just look at the dead body and contemplate like that. And they have also things like, they have pictures. I saw one temple there, a big picture of the skeleton, the body, the bones in the body. And they're saying, this is you, you're like this, you have a body like this, bones, a skull, and different things. So we have to, their focus is on the miseries. And they have beads, and with 108 beads, I asked one monk, why you have 108 beads? He said 108 different miseries. You see? So their focus is all about the miseries of life. But we agree that life is miserable, but we also talk about the bliss of the spiritual world. Buddhism, they don't have that concept about the bliss of the spiritual world. But we have that. We're speaking about eternal life, bliss and knowledge in the spiritual world. The opportunity is there for all of us to go there and join in the activities with Lord Krishna or with Lord Chaitanya, take part in the Sankirtan with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also has a place in the spiritual world. So we're not only speaking about the miseries of death, we're also speaking about the bliss of spiritual life, that we're eternally individuals. And it's not miserable to be an individual if you understand you're a spirit soul. Because the spirit soul is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and we have an eternal relationship with the Lord. But we have forgotten that. But if we revive that relationship, we can experience the highest transcendental pleasure. So you have to understand that we're not just speaking about miseries, we're also speaking about transcendental bliss. And the highest pleasure, Satchit Ananda, eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. The nature of life in the spiritual world is eternally joyful. Here in the material world, you may get a job anytime, you may get redundant. Oh no, because, they had a war. There's this war. I was in the Middle East, and a lot of people lost their jobs because of the war, and their salaries went down. They have to pay you less because of the war. So they're getting 20% off their salaries every month. And this way people are suffering so much, so many difficulties. Many people lost a job, many people no job, like that. This material world, like that. So difficult, so uncomfortable. But the spiritual world, there's none of these problems. Everybody is happy and joyful in the association of Lord Krishna. So that is the opportunity of the spiritual world. And the devotees, we would like to, again, have that relationship with Lord Krishna, to be engaged in his service. And we can be liberated here in this world. We don't have to wait for death to be liberated. And we don't talk about giving up our individuality. We talk about our eternal relationship with the Lord. Sanatana Dharma, eternal religion. So impersonalism, they're talking about becoming one and losing your individuality. But we don't agree. We say, no, we're all eternally individuals. Right? They give the example, oh no, it's like the rivers flow into the sea and become one with the sea. But we say, no, the rivers flow into, but there's big fish in the sea. And the fish flow into the sea, they don't become one with the sea. They keep their individuality. But the water which flows into the sea, it gets evaporated in the clouds, and the clouds take the water back and pour the water back on the land. And in this way, the water comes back onto the land and back into the river and goes back into the sea. And this way, this is the cycle of birth and death, continuous birth and death, again and again, many different bodies. So this is actually a miserable condition, material existence, to have to take birth and die again and again. And of course we're not conscious of it, we've forgotten all about it, and we're thinking, I'll be happy forever here. Let me live forever here. But nobody can live forever. Everybody dies in the course of time. Everyone meets with death. Even Lord Brahma has to give up his body. So we have to understand all aspects of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. We're not just only speaking about the misery of death. We're speaking also about eternal bliss, taking part in the pastimes of the Lord, joining in his eternal Leela, rasa dance, taking part in Lord Krishna's rasa dance. You can join in the rasa dance with Lord Krishna. You can experience the highest bliss like this. We're not just only speaking about death. We want to understand the bliss of Sankirtan, joining in the Sankirtan movement, chanting and dancing. This is Krishna consciousness. We're not just speaking only about death. Right? You agree? Okay. For another time. Yep. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Sri Nrsimha Bhagwan ki.